Welcome everyone to another episode of the Zelda Challenge. Joining me, as always, my usual debate buddy is Kevin O'Rourke. How's it going, Kevin?
I'm doing fantastic, Goo. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I am ready to talk about items some more. We, not too long ago, had an episode where we talked about which series had the best items. This is sort of a spiritual sequel to that episode. Today we're going to be debating which item we would like to see make a return to the Zelda series.
I'm going to make a case for Din's Fire to make a return to the series.
Awesome. A very unique item, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say. I'm going to tell you why I think the grappling hook should come back to the series. So I'm thinking with a game like Breath of the Wild, if that's where the series is going forward, I don't know. This is in my dream scenario. The next game is similar to that with a lot of, it's an open physics puzzle, based type game where you're exploring this vast open world. I think in a game like that, a grappling hook would be a good addition to that. One where, you're climbing, you're traversing these vertical spaces. If you're like standing on a mountain or a building and you're looking over at another one, I want to get up there. I think a grappling hook would be a great way to, instead of, parasailing over to it, getting at a lower level and climbing up, it would be awesome if you could just, zip on up over there. It doesn't have to be like Assassin's Creed Syndicate or Spider-Man, where you're just, instantly up there. But it would be cool if you could, grab on, swing on, maybe swing to a higher level, stuff like that. If you wanted to, then you still have your parasail. You could swing from one ledge and then parasail to another. I think that would be a lot of fun as far as just traversing the land. You could also, I remember the grappling hook had some fun little features in Phantom Hourglass that you could bring back. If you're at one ledge and you want to get to another on the same vertical plane, maybe you could like make a little tightrope and walk on a tightrope instead of climbing. That could be fun. You could come up with other puzzles that like involve using that mechanic. I remember also in that game you could like set up your grappling hook and like human slingshot yourself. In a game like Breath of the Wild, where they're just like have all these mechanics that it's like for you to like play around with, I think that could be fun. Like slingshot yourself off a cliff, parasail down from there, or some, slingshot into the slow-mo bow and arrow mode. Like that would just feel awesome. If you had like a magnesis rune or an item or something, you could put the little post down and like slingshot some metal box with magnesis. That could be a fun, you could come up with like a lot of cool puzzles, I think, based around that. Especially in like shrines and stuff where it's like puzzle and dungeon based. I think it would be a pretty fun thing to use like against enemies, like, in Wind Waker, where you could steal stuff from them. Maybe you could steal their items. Maybe you could like tie them up or something, tie like the grappling hook to their leg and then like throw the other end like over a tree and like have them hanging upside down by their leg or something. Like I think you do a lot of like goofy stuff with it that could be really fun. Like I feel like you could you could like just build off of the Breath of the Wild physics engine and like introduce this as like a fun new mechanic for like combat situations, much like they kind of were like, here are all these runes and all these random items, like here's like an encampment of enemies. If you want to throw a boulder on them, do it. If you want to go in guns blazing, do it. I think the grappling hook would suit that pretty well. It would be cool to use the grappling hook to like climb on top of enemies, like a stone talus or a Hynex. Stone talus seems like best suited for this, where like you could get around it aim for that rock on its back and pull yourself up there. One major flaw in Breath of the Wild was there are times where you could be somewhere and it starts raining. Like, no matter how much you prepared for something, what would be a great way to, like, make the rain less annoying? Well, maybe you could climb better if you had, like, a grappling hook, you know? Like, you could hook on to a part and you could, like, I don't know. I feel like that could be a way. Maybe you don't, like, still climb perfectly if they are really, like, into the rain being a thing that affects you, but I feel like the grappling hook could be a fun way to, like, it makes it more challenging where, like, yeah, you're climbing on, like, walls and stuff is limited, but you still have, like, some options. You know, the rain idea doesn't have to go away, but I think, like, the grappling hook could make it more interesting than just, well, you're stuck here, or you should have looked ahead, you know, in the weather forecast or something, you know. With the shrines and stuff, there's a lot of puzzles you could come up with for, like, you know, using it to pull items or pull switches, you know, all the classic stuff, like the grappling hook was used for in, like, Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, I think could easily come back. And yeah, I think that's why I think the grappling hook should make a return.
So let me give my case as to why I think Din's Fire should make a return to the series.
Sure.
Maybe not keeping exactly with Breath of the Wild, but I'll give an instance of something that I think would actually be pretty cool. Picture paragliding, or maybe even using your grappling hook. And instead of using the bullet time arrows and shooting an enemy that you see on the ground with it, instead you use Din's Fire. You just meteor yourself, boom, punch right into the ground and just erupt in a giant flame and knock out anything nearby. Or taking care of Keese en masse and destroying them, or turning them into fire Keese on accident. I think that I tend to be drawn towards items in the Zelda series that are maybe like area of effect, like giant sweeping cones or spheres of explosions. Things like the bomb arrows, blowing things up with that. The Bombos medallion. Din's Fire, which was a ton of fun to use in Ocarina of Time. Those items are just so much fun to use because you can knock out like a couple of enemies with it. I think that I'm also drawn to the items that are like more magical in the series. Maybe not so, you know, like, oh sure, you use like a bow and arrow, that's like a real life thing. Using the magic like Din's Fire, Nairu's Love, Ferori's Wind, and the medallions in Link to the Past, I think are really fun too, like the Bombos Medallion, Ether, and Quake. And going back to more of like the magical roots of The Legend of Zelda would be pretty fun. They've kind of moved away from using more magical stuff since like Twilight Princess, but we're starting to see more things come back from like in Breath of the Wild, using the runes as a magical kind of thing. So Din's Fire I could see being a rune. Maybe you use that in combat. It's got like a really, really big cooldown, but it can help you if you're in like a couple of like sticky situations. You just use Din's Fire, boom, shoot that sphere wide out and knock out a couple enemies. If it works kind of like Urbosa's Fury with lightning, maybe have it similar with like an ice attack that shoots a giant AoE ice blast out. What I found fun with Din's Fire though was you don't necessarily have to use fire arrows in some of the rooms that had those puzzles for it. So you can throw down Din's Fire and light every torch in the room. One of the best examples of that makes you feel, at least with me, it made me feel pretty cool, was using Din's Fire to get inside of the Shadow Temple. I think that's the one time that you actually do need to use it in the game, barring any glitches. Other than that, it's just like a fun thing to use in combat. I know using it against Dark Link was very useful. I've since learned that you can use the Megaton Hammer and kind of get him in a rhythm and start bashing him with that. But I'd still love using Din's Fire and just, you know, knocking him out. It's really satisfying to take out some of the enemies and the bosses. It's almost like a kill button that you can use if you just have enough magic. One other example of why I think Din's Fire is really, really cool and why I'd like to use it in every game possible was there's this room in the Shadow Temple in Ocarina of Time where you walk in and a little cutscene plays of these wooden spiked walls like coming into crush Link. You can use the fire arrows to knock them out, but it's just so awesome to just use Din's Fire, knock that out of the way. And there's a couple of, I want to say they're Gibdos, they might be Redeads as well, and you can light those guys on fire as well. Yeah, Din's Fire is a lot of fun. I think it could be a really welcome addition back to not only the 3D games, but it would be cool to see also in one of the 2D titles as well. I think if we had something that was akin to like the Bamos Medallion, which did not appear back in the A Link Between Worlds remake spiritual successor to Link to the Past, or in like, let's say like the Minish Cap or something like that, being able to use that as, you know, maybe you only get a couple of uses with it before it wipes out your magic meter, your stamina meter. It would still be really cool just to have that as an option, maybe as like a late game item, or you complete an optional dungeon. Because I think more so in the 2D games, a screen clearing item like that could be seen as pretty overpowered. I think it would need to be balanced, but I think that Din's Fire could be a lot of fun, 2D or 3D.
Only one of these ideas can be right. If they make another game, they can't use both.
No, they can't.
And we need you guys to tell us who you thought made a better point. Which item do you think would be cooler to see returned? There's going to be an icon in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, and you can click on it, and there's going to be a little poll, and you can tell us, did Kevin make it a better argument of Din's Fire, or burning everything, or would you like to climb around with the grappling hook? Did I make that a better argument? Yeah, who made their case better? Let us know. If you want, you should check out some of our other videos. We've got a whole bunch of these Zelda challenges out there. If there's a topic you think that we should debate, let us know. Also, be sure to let us know what items you would like to see return. Like there's a whole bunch of, we actually had a whole list that we were kind of debating over which ones were the best to go with, because the series is chock full of fun items. You want to see the spinner come back,
or the ball and chain, or both. Spinning with the ball and chain, just swinging it around.
Oh man. As always, Kevin, thanks for debating with me.
Thanks, Go. Always a pleasure.